Today, I want to talk about a hot topic, potentially, of why you may not need to get the HX Stomp. But I have a cold, I think, and so I need to take care of my voice. I'm going to make myself some throat coat. Not that great. If we've never met, my name is Jimmy Cooper and I am the creator of Hey Worship Leader. I did this because I'm passionate about bringing greater health to worship leaders and their ministries, and I do this in two ways. First, we do worship workshops. This is a great opportunity for us to discuss the ins and outs of worship ministry. They're very practical, hands-on sessions where we get worship leaders and musicians together to hone their craft, discuss techniques and tips, and just really sharpen each other. I also provide mentor coaching through Hey Worship Leader. This is where I come alongside a worship leader for a season to guide them through the many areas of worship ministry. If either of those things interest you, go to heyworshipleader.com. Link will be down in the description to get more details. All right, so let's get into it. Number one, do not get the HX Stomp if you don't care a thing about amp and cab simulation. It's not for everyone, and honestly, I didn't think it was gonna be for me, but I have to tell you, I am being very surprised by it. It takes a little work and know-how, but you can get some really great sounds out of this thing. By the way, the sounds you're hearing in this video are the patches that I use every week live while I'm leading worship. If you like the way they sound, they're actually for sale right now on my website, heyworshipleader.com. The link is in the description, and every purchase goes to help support me, Hey Worship Leader, and this channel. If you do get them, I hope you like them, and I really appreciate your support. Number two, do not get the HX Stomp if you are already completely satisfied with your setup. If you're constantly going after new gear rather than learning how to play the actual guitar, you might suffer from gear acquisition syndrome. Don't let this be you. In my case, I was not completely satisfied with my traditional board. There were several instances where my board would make crazy weird noises at the most inopportune times. Most of the time it was during a quiet part of the service where someone's praying or there's a scripture reading and I'm swelling in something beautiful, and it would just be this horrible crackle noise. Is the worst. However, the Stomp is the quietest piece of gear I've ever owned. There are many times where I've plugged it in and thought it wasn't even on yet because there wasn't even this normal hum or hiss that you usually get from an amp. Not with a Stomp. This thing is very quiet. Number 3, do not get the Stomp if you do not mind lugging around heavy gear all the time. I personally needed a lighter setup, both for health reasons. I had surgery, kidney transplant, and I couldn't carry heavy things. And plus, just the horribleness of having to carry 3 pieces of heavy gear to every gig. I could never make it in just one trip, but now I can just hold my guitar and my stomp rig and I'm good to go. And since I don't have to carry around that heavy amp, I can make it all in one trip every time. Very nice. Number 4, do not get the Stomp if you think it is merely an all-in-one solution. I have never been a fan of all-in-one units, all-in-one pedal boards, especially the way they look. I want something that is functional and reliable, but I also want something that is aesthetically pleasing to the eye. The Stomp looks and feels like a traditional pedal. It's smaller than a Strymon pedal. It's got 3 actual switches and it doesn't look like it's an all-in-one solution. However, it is. But while it is an all-in-one solution and I run it that way all the time, it doesn't look like the full Helix or like the dreaded HD 500. Ugh, and for that I'm thankful. Number 5, do not get the HX Stomp if you mainly play with your amp on stage with you. There's no reason to spend the money to get a direct solution if you're mainly playing through your amp. And this was me. For years, I played with an amp on stage and I loved it. And honestly, there was one time where I borrowed my friend's rig and it was a direct solution and it was horrible because I was used to having the amp on stage with me. There were no in-ear monitors, not even any stage monitors. The band couldn't hear my guitar. It was a very bad situation. And if you always play with your amp on stage, then it kind of leads into my next point. Do not get the HX Stomp if you never play on a quiet stage. Another one of the reasons that I got the Stomp is because everywhere I get invited to play, it is a silent stage. The amps are always in a back room or in an isolation box being mic'd up. We use in-ears, so it just makes sense for me to have a direct solution. Number 7, do not get the HX Stomp if you think it means that you have to give up all your other pedals. One of the huge benefits of the Stomp is that it takes other pedals like a champ. I actually run a compressor into it. I run a reverb through the effects loop. I have played with several overdrives through it, and the amps take overdrives amazingly. You will not regret it if you choose to keep your pedals and run them through the Stomp. And lastly, but not least, number 8, do not get the HX Stomp if it makes you feel guilty or makes you feel like you have to sell your amp. I love the fact that I can still use my amp if I want to. A few weeks ago, I got to play a D Now with this youth group at this church and it was loud. I got to have my amp on stage, which is kind of unique for me because I never get to do that anymore. But it was amazing to be able to have my amp on stage with me and the Stomp, the effects, the overdrives through an amp still sound amazing. I loved every minute of it. And there's nothing that can replace the sound of an actual amp on stage. I love that feeling, even though most of the time I play on a silent stage. So that's it. That's my list of the reasons you should not get the HX Stomp if these things apply to you. But however, it really is a list of the reasons you should get the Stomp because most of these things don't apply to me. The opposite does. And so the Stomp has been a very good asset for me. I have not regretted the purchase. I love it. It's reliable. It sounds amazing. Takes other pedals well. It's a great investment. If you're at all thinking about it, I would do it. And don't forget to grab my new Stomp patches that I created that you heard in this video. They're linked below. Also, I was looking at my analytics on YouTube and I noticed that most of the views I get come from people who are not subscribed to my channel. So if you could do me a favor, if that's you, like this video, subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. It was fun hanging out with you. I will see you in the next video.